Hello.
Hi, Terry.
There we go. Hi.
How's it going? Terry, can you see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. We'll wait a couple minutes for a few more people to join. It's just a few minutes before 2 right now anyways. Amy. Hi, Katie.
Hi. It's fun to see other people. Are you the only one on currently?
No, there's a few agents on. Sherry, Julie, Charlotte.
Hey, Katie.
Hi.
That's so exciting.
There we go.
Okay, we'll wait like maybe 2 more minutes and then we can go ahead and get started. I'm sure people will join after we get started.
Terry and Amy, thanks for joining again this week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love being here. I love your staging company.
Thank you.
Okay, Julie, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Unmuted here. Sure. Yeah, we can go ahead and get going here. Thanks everyone so much for being here today. We're excited to be back with our second session of Tuesdays at 2 with Haven Home Staging. My name's Julie. I am one of Haven's designers and project consultants. I know a lot of the faces in here, and thank you everyone for coming back. And for those of you who are returners, I know that you made it in for last week. For those of you who we're not here. Last week was a introduction to Haven hosted by our owner, Sherry Casella. Sherry did a great job of outlining the services that we offer at Haven and the benefits of staging a listing for the market and what that can do in terms of boosting overall investment and upfront investment versus doing a price reduction later, and in terms of how fast we can help a listing sell. But today we want to talk more about what Haven can do for you right now. And with the current shelter-in-place mandate, new installations have been on hold at Haven, but we know that real estate is essential business and things are moving forward day by day as we all progress through these things. In the interim, Haven, like most businesses, has pivoted to accommodate our clients during the COVID crisis. And over the last few weeks, we've been working to develop and implement a new service for occupied listings. And we've also expanded on how we can help agents be proactive with their vacant listings. So I want to go over what we can do for you guys now with these new tools that we've been developing, and get you an idea of how we can help to get you guys ahead for when the shelter-in-place mandate is lifted. I'll start by addressing our new service, which is what we call the Occupied Staging Video Consultation. And this is our video consultation service that is set up by design as a plan that's custom tailored to your sellers' homes to help them prepare to list on the market. So one service that agents either did know or they maybe weren't entirely sure of was that we already did owner-occupied consultations. We would go into the client's home while they were living there and tell them what they would need to do to adjust, move some things out, maybe shift something into another room, change out bedding, neutralize colors, any of the tips and tricks we can give them to make sure that their listing was as top of the line as possible. So we did provide all of the services for them for the owner occupied, but now we've kind of pivoted and made this into a video consultation for them as well. So your client would be assigned a dedicated Haven consultant, and that person would be in charge of taking on the project with your client, walking them through step by step and making them feel very comfortable and confident in what we can achieve for them. But with this professional guidance, we will help to assure homeowners that they can feel confident in getting their place listed even while they're living there under the shelter in place and handling everything very safely from home. So though we may not be able to meet with your clients face-to-face right now, what we can do is offer technology and working with them remotely. Coupling our experience with Zoom, obviously, very helpful technology tool that we have, we've come up with a professional and strategic plan to help to assist from a distance. The occupied staging video consultation is a little bit interactive with clients, and I want to draw out how these steps work in terms of what the client's responsible for, what we're responsible for, and how we work together as a team to really achieve the overall function of this new process. So you'll see here on the screen, Denise has up the flow chart of all the steps that happen to kind of bounce back and forth between us and the client, and what we can do to assist them with the tools that they would need. Off the bat, we have what we would do with our welcome email and the instructions that we would provide to clients that would give them a private Dropbox link and step-by-step tutorial on how to take photos of their space, how to upload to Dropbox, and encourage them to feel very confident in this process as they're starting. So we know that this is uncomfortable. This is definitely a difficult time for everyone. We're all at home. We're all learning new things. So we really tried to take the edge off of this when we were creating the process to make it as simple and as intuitive for people as possible, so that even those who don't feel tech savvy will still feel very confident and comfortable using this tool. So we provide them with all those tools up front with the welcome, and then we give them the link to their private Dropbox, and that's where they'll end up taking their photos. So in step 2, they will review the documents provided to them. It tells them how we want to see photos, and there's a very specific way and a method to how we do it. We ask clients to be like at the doorway when they first walk in. We want to see a photograph of the angle of that room. So we want to shoot it as it's like a wide angle, and then moving around the room clockwise to get all the views. So those photos will then help us to see from the space when we're reviewing it how things are looking in terms of sizing, and we can determine if things are in the right place or if they would need to be shifted. If we can identify just from take a glance at the photo, anything that would need to be removed from the space. And the pictures help to really like identify all of those things for us. So in step 2, they take those photos, they capture the things that we need, and then they would upload them to their private Dropbox. And once this is complete, they notify us, and this is where it kind of toggles back and forth. So now they've taken their photos, they send it back to us, and then at that time, we'll take a step ahead, and we'll want to go ahead and schedule the video portion of the consultation for the clients. The video consultation is detailed out in steps 3 and 4. We try to accommodate clients by offering 3 platforms that they can choose to use for the video portion, and we also try to make that as seamless as possible for those who don't feel confident as well. But the platforms we've chosen are FaceTime, Skype, or Zoom, and depending on their comfort level, we again have the step-by-step tutorial and a video tutorial that we provide to them so that they are able to walk through these platforms pretty seamlessly, and we're also here to help. So again, something that we've kind of prepared, we feel like we've looked at this from all sides. We really want people to feel comfortable and confident in what they're doing, but we feel like this process has been developed to help them along the way in terms of getting all the information that they would need and keeping it a very open communication between your client and us as their staging advisors. So after you've tackled all that, then your Haven consultant will review the photos that have been uploaded and create and draft a written plan to help your clients get ready for the market. And this plan is provided to your clients with detailing in terms of the tasks that we would be suggesting that they would need to execute. Sometimes we want clients to take pieces from one room and move them into another, or we want to make sure that they're seeing the side chair over in this corner is really pulling your eye away from the bigger picture, and we want to make sure that we have the big focus on the right places. So this written list will be very detailed, and it's given to them almost like a checklist, like a honey-do. And if your clients take that and really work through it top down, they're going to have a really excellent end result for getting ready for listing. And to point out also that Haven, our consultants are all trained for this in terms of the continued education that we do at Haven. It really does come into play, and we take a lot of effort and time in our company to make sure that we have our staff trained to get the best photograph, because photographs are what really get people in the door. It's those MLS photos that people are looking at when they're scrolling, and they really need to grab your audience and capture them, right? So we've been trained very thoroughly at Haven, and we continue to do training to make sure that everything we're doing is to maximize those photographs for your clients so that we can get them in the door to use that you can sell to them. So moving down through the process a little more, after the list has been provided to clients, we ask them to review it before we get to step 6 with them. And that's the video conference portion of the consultation. So this is the piece that we feel is a really big value add to the new process that we've created here with the occupied video consultations. Clients will have this time with the video consultation dedicated one-on-one with their consultant to discuss the written plan. They can ask any questions that they have about staging, and we can cover a more high-level overview of the recommendations that we provided to them. We can also take advantage of the fact that we are on video with them, and with people having the availability to use FaceTime or Skype, we can flip the camera around and walk through the space with them and actually talk through these changes and say, okay, that chair would be better positioned on an angle, and physically watch them as they're doing it, help them to create the best look. We can take that time with the video consultation to walk through the space and talk through any more of those problem places or trouble spots that people sometimes don't even see themselves, but we can point out to them. So we can really dive deeper into the project with the video consultation, and we have found so far that this has been very rewarding for clients, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback in terms of what this has been able to offer them long-term with the overall process as well. There is an optional step 7 that we would like to kind of put in there as well. So if clients get through steps 1 through 6 and maybe they're just not as confident, or if they feel like they have more questions, that they're just not as comfortable with where they want to be with everything, for a little bit of an additional charge, we can also do this add-on that we're calling the pre-listing walkthrough, where we would take the time to actually walk through with your client again online after they've implemented all the changes and really make sure that they've got the right placement. Then tell them, talk them through the photograph angles and get them all the information that they would feel that they would need to have so that they feel like they're really ready to get this place listed. So that is the basic process of it. Once that happens, at the very end, we're going to send them their final information. And all of this, again, is captured in their Dropbox. So the Dropbox is a great tool because clients can bounce back and forth and read through it, and they can pull information out of here. And there's a step-by-step process as this goes through in terms of what they're doing when they first walk in with the welcome, how they're doing the photographs, the consultation portion, and then the follow-up at the final end. The tools that they'll be given at the end will be that they have the written document that we prepared for them specific for their listing, but also the general recommendations document that's provided to them. And this is something that we feel at Haven is a very important tool for all agents and for their occupied listings. It's kind of a higher priority look at what people should be doing at a bare minimum to get their space ready for the market. And it has excellent tips in there that people, again, might not be thinking about when they're already living in their space. So something that they might need a little bit of assistance for someone to point out to them, like make sure all of your light bulbs are matching in color and at the highest wattage, have your shades drawn up during photographs and listings, making the place feel as light and bright as possible, making sure lampshade seams are in the back instead of in the front of the lamp so that that doesn't get captured in the photograph. But that's going to be one of the tools that they have at the end, as well as what we're calling the staging mistakes and showing tips document. Again, another document that helps people to see staging mistakes that can be avoided and little tips and tricks to use to get ready as they're running out the house right before a showing. It gives them those things that they just need to be reminded of really quickly, and it helps them to feel comfortable about living in an active listing while they're on the market. So once we have these tools provided, clients should feel armed and ready to really have their space showing at their best. Denise is going to share some before and after photos. We want to show you of a couple of projects that we have done before with all of the before and after recommendations. Here we go. So I'll talk through these. This is a listing that we had done in West Loop, and it was owner occupied, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom with a living room and office space. So this is what the dining room looked like before at the top. Our recommendations were to really neutralize the space because there's a lot of things happening. You can tell that they had a unique style, and they really did put all of their pieces together in their own puzzle. But we cleaned it up and made it sparkle like that photograph at the bottom for the MLS listing. So a couple of the tools that we had given them in terms of tasks to do most notably starts with clearing the floor of all the miscellaneous items. And we will say this over and over in most occupied listings. This is something that's really important. We need to clear the clutter and make sure that the space really sparkles. So taking out all of those miscellaneous items, selecting only the red chairs and putting those in the right places around the table so that it frames it. They had an existing bench, so I took it out of the living room and I moved it into the dining room and very purposefully positioned it in front of the table instead of in the back. Some people will prefer to have their bench in the back. But this way the photograph grabs with those chairs, elevates the height, lifts the space, adds the touch of color. They already had that piece of art, so I just relocated it over the table for them. And then it's, again, very lightly accessorizing and neutralizing a space. And you can see that just those tasks alone right there really made a massive impact on that MLS photo. And we can go to the next one. Same unit. This, again, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and they already had an office space. So they were using this room a little bit more like a kid's space than anything else. And I wanted to help them to maximize the value of their home, being that it's a 2-bedroom. So while they had the Murphy bed closed most of the time, we did advise for them to leave the Murphy bed down for photos and showings, because we want to make sure that that is where they get the bang for their buck in terms of the size of the spaces in a bedroom. So in keeping the bed down and purchasing the new and the very crisp bedding, removing the toy boxes, reducing the accessories on the bookcases, and really cleaning that space up, we've presented a very adult space, and it also lends itself to the value of the listing. So we've kind of maximized for them what they can get out of that room, but without really a massive amount of adjustment that would have affected their livability, because they still had the extra space in terms of their office, so they were able to show office space elsewhere as well. So let's go a little bit here into, yeah, this is the bathroom before and after. Again, bathrooms can still have a really big impact and they will get photographed for MLS listings, but little things that we can note in almost every one of our staging units is to clean up the untidy things. And that would be like the mat that was left kind of helter-skelter on the floor, the cat litter box that's right next to the toilet, and the bath towel that's been used, and washed 400 times. Just neutralizing this space, and again, the bottom photograph with as neutral and monochromatic as it is, that's a great picture and that will grab someone. And master bathrooms, more importantly, we know that the home buyer is going to be using the master bathroom. So again, a very big impact on the things that we can do in just decluttering, removing, and very much neutralizing a space. And they took all of our recommendations and they really did a great job to make that bathroom sparkle. So let's go a little bit here into the pricing breakdown. So the service itself, we feel, is a huge value that people can use, and it is something that we can do for you while we're still under the mandate of shelter in place. But we want to be able to be a resource for your clients. And we're anticipating that this service will integrate very seamlessly into the homeowner's virtual home. And all of their buying experiences. We know that everyone's turning to virtual and like remote services in terms of open houses, closings, using Zoom meetings, doing video walkthroughs. And we intend to be a reference and support your homeowners at the preparation stage of this. So things that you can expect to get and what you're going to need and what you're going to want, those are all things that are listed here on the screen for you, and including the pricing at the bottom that I want to touch on just a little bit. So we've broken the pricing down into 3 categories based on square footage. The first one would be, the full price is $295 up to 1,800 square foot, $349, 3,000 square foot, 3,000 square foot, and then $399 over 3,000 square foot. But we are currently running a $50 off promotion during the shelter-in-place mandate. We're trying to help people to get an advantage with their clients. We want to assist you in getting ahead of things and prepared so that you can list, or if you are going to list while we're still under the shelter-in-place, you've got everything ready to go. And we feel that with our aggressive pricing, that the nominal price up front will have a big impact on your listing long-term too. But that's a big overview, and I've kind of talked a lot. So I'm going to bring in my colleague Charlotte on this part right here. Charlotte was on the development team of our new process and helped to create all the steps that we just talked about. I'm going to have her speak to how these solutions can really help to benefit your clients as well. So Charlotte, I know that you're there. Yeah, feed a couple questions to you and let you answer. But let's start off with what does a potential buyer want to see when they walk into a home?
Sure. So buyers are really looking to see a move-in ready space today, especially with Instagram, Pinterest, HGTV, and all of that. I think expectations are actually really high when most buyers are browsing listings. They want to see the potential of a home, clean, transitional furniture that showcases the space and functionality of each room. They do want to see style, but nothing so loud that it distracts from the space. And that's really why I love our inventory at Haven. We focus on transitional furniture and accessories, but we always have our finger on the design pulse. So we do have plenty of modern, white, leather, kind of chrome pieces. But we also have these amazing blue velvet and brass chairs that I love working with. So we really have something for everybody. And based on the finishes of the home we're staging, we custom select each piece to suit each space.
That's great. And what kinds of spaces do you feel are the most important in need of staging? Or I guess in other words, how do I know my home will have trouble if I'm not staging? Will it have trouble on the market?
Yeah, so owner-occupied spaces can often benefit the most from a consultation and staging help. We tend to get really used to our surroundings, so you may not notice the stack of magazines or the unfinished craft project on your coffee table, but potential buyers definitely will. And we tend to get used to our 3rd bedroom with the spare gym equipment, spare bed, extra desk, whatever it is. But buyers will see a small crowded room that isn't quite an office and isn't quite a 3rd bedroom. So those blinders are totally normal. It's your space that you see every day. I for sure have them when it comes to my own home, but they can actually really work to your disadvantage when prepping your home for sale. So like we talked about earlier, we're here to be those objective eyes on your space and find solutions to any obstacles that the homeowner might have.
That's awesome. And do you have any overall tips and tricks or mistakes to avoid when staging?
Yeah, so definitely a few that we always come back to. Too much furniture is a huge one. It may seem counterintuitive, but bigger furniture or too many pieces does not actually translate to making the room look and feel bigger. Just because you can fit 2 huge cabinets in your living room doesn't necessarily mean you should. Proportional furniture with clean, modern lines is really key to making the room feel bigger. And it's also really important not to overcrowd the room. You want to leave spaces for the eye to rest, and more importantly, ensuring clear walkways into and around the whole room. We also deal with a lot of blank walls or walls that only have personal photos. We like to just say, don't be afraid of bringing a little color and texture into a room through art. Anchor your living room with a large, colorful piece of art, and then build the color palette out from that piece. So build your room around that colorful piece. Or if your room already has a lot of color, maybe try a neutral textural piece of art, like a wall hanging. But definitely don't be afraid of art. And then personal photos can, on the other hand, be a roadblock for the buyer. So if they see you and your family all over the house on the walls and in picture frames, they have a really hard time picturing their own family in the space. So for listing photos and showings, we always say it's important to minimize and put away as many personal photos as possible. And then finally, dark wall colors, paint colors, and heavy curtains blocking natural light. So light and bright rooms will always look bigger and tidier. So while I love a moody jewel colored room, and I think it can be super on trend, the rules change a little bit when you're trying to sell your home. So to appeal to the widest possible buyer base, neutral walls will definitely always show better. White, beige, light gray, they'll always photograph better without distracting the eye. And then finally, just let that natural light flow into the room. Remove heavy curtains or push them as far to the sides as possible. The room will instantly photograph and feel bigger, and the ceilings will instantly feel a lot taller.
That's great information and really helpful tips, so thank you. One thing I want to kind of lend into a little bit more here is that we keep getting asked very frequently at Haven if we're currently installing new staging projects. And while we aren't doing that under the shelter in place, we are also providing a service that we can use for you now in terms of helping you to get ready with your vacant listings in the interim. So sort of similar to what we just created with the video consultation process, we are also offering a different step process for vacants where we're giving clients their own, again, personal Dropbox, explaining to them how to upload photos, and also asking them if they'd like to walk through with a video. They upload this onto their Dropbox file for us, and then we will take that. Sometimes we'll kind of back into it. We might Google the MLS address previously and look at old photographs, or if agents have the layout, we would take that and use all those tools together to create the vacant proposal for them and get that in your hands and ready. We want agents to be prepared so that once this shelter in place is lifted, you've got all the tools to proactively move on staging, get that listing up and going, and make sure that, again, we have everything in line for you to do what you need to do as an agent as well. So again, trying to forward think on some tools that we can offer to our agent clients to help them as they're also moving through. We know this is a very difficult time for everyone. So we want to take that information, we create the proposal for you, and then you're ready to go. As soon as we have the green light to do so, everyone can then actively move quickly to get that done. And knowing that it's always going to be our preference that we would be in a space to actually see it, can really do a very good job of taking these photographs and making the best out of this proposal for you now. And then right before it's time to get in there, we'd run in and measure and make sure we've got everything ready to go and stepped so that we can get this, again, custom tailored to your space to really maximize the listing for your clients as well. So again, something that we would like to encourage people to take us up on, and noting that then, Charlotte, since we're not currently bringing in supplemental staging to homes at this time, what can homeowners do if they need to add a few pieces, like, you know, for supplemental staging? Would you do any kind of furniture recommendations?
Yeah, absolutely. So as part of our video consultation service, we will absolutely recommend supplemental pieces to homeowners. For clients who need more intensive design help, we can also discuss our interior design services. So this would be a really good option for clients who need a full-scale redesign or who need help ordering several larger furniture pieces. But either way, Haven has you covered while we are all following this stay-at-home order.
That's great. And if clients have a limited budget, if they're looking at something and they're just not entirely sure where they should be putting their money into, which rooms would you prioritize? Does it vary by each listing?
Sure, yeah, it definitely varies house to house, property to property, but like we talked about earlier, first impressions are really key. So we generally say the first floor of a single family home or living and dining spaces of a condo are typically the priority. And then we would recommend staging the master bedroom as well. This goes for vacant stagings or an owner-occupied home. Think about the first spaces the buyer will see. So if the living room, dining room, and kitchen are clean and inviting, the buyer is much more likely going to want to see the rest of the space. And the great thing about the occupied video consultations we offer is that our tailored recommendations will address every single room in your space. And you can work with your consultant to spend more time on the rooms that you're having more trouble with, like Julie mentioned earlier. Some rooms are a little bit trickier, and it's totally customizable how we spend our time with you. So I think it's a really great service for that too.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. Thank you for that. So all this information is really good and very useful. I want to pause for a second and see if anyone has any questions that have come up or if there's anything that needs further clarification, because we want to make sure that you, as our agents, have all the tools that you would need to help us or to help yourself move through these processes as well. So if there's any questions, please unmute and go ahead and ask us as you're going through this.
I was wondering about the optional extra walkthrough at the
Yep.
end. Is that extra?
I'm sorry, it was a little quiet. Say it one more time.
Oh, how much is the optional walkthrough at the end of the consult?
You know what? Actually, I don't have that right in front of me here. Can we go back to that graphic real fast, Denise?
I didn't see it there, but maybe it was.
I believe, oh yeah, add on $100.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it.
That's a good question though, because you actually had me off guard. So thank you for pulling that one up. Does anyone else need any clarification on anything so far, or any questions about anything at all that you'd like us to address for you? Okay, that's all right. So Charlotte, when you came to Haven, excuse me, you have design in your past. You were previously the lead visual merchandiser at West Elm. And let's give some of the participants a takeaway about design in terms of what you're looking at in terms of trends, what you're really loving right now, what you're seeing coming up. So if you want to speak to design features, please have at it.
Yeah, sure. So for sure, one of my favorites is just using natural tones and wood furniture pieces. This graphic here, I really loved staging this formal living area. I wanted it to feel elevated but not stuffy, so I chose a lot of natural tones just while playing with texture. So you've got the cream velvet of the chairs, the faux hide rug, and the pampas grass in the vase in place of any greenery. So using a pretty neutral color palette, but just using a lot of natural textures and tones, I think really elevated this space a lot. Another trend I'm really liking is that people are moving away from gray and white and kind of embracing warmer, bolder colors in certain spaces. So yeah, so this one here was one of my favorite spaces to stage recently. I knew the client was not afraid of color at all, so I went really bold with this orange and blue art, pillows, and accessories to bring some warmth into the space. This is also a really good alternative at home for anyone who wants to experiment with color, but doesn't necessarily want to paint a whole room or a whole wall a bold color. You can really play with your accessories and art and still make a huge splash with color that way. And then finally, mixed metal. I think we've been using that a lot at Haven. I think it can showcase really nicely. Denise, if you want to move to the next slide. Yeah, thanks. So this one is a great example of experimenting with something like rose gold in the side tables. You don't have to make the whole room rose gold. You can kind of add a dash of it. It's also a really great example of warming up what could be a really cold space and room with these wood tones and natural tones like we were talking about earlier. And then final slide. This space, I love the space that Julie designed. I think it really brings all of those trends together. You've got the natural wood of the table, you've got the mixed metal of the chrome and the brass, and then you've got the big bright color in the art and the pillows. So I think this room turned out really, really nicely. She also incorporated a lot of greenery, which I love, especially right now. Bringing a little greenery into the home is really crucial. And I know I've been trying to buy flowers where I can and really nurse all my plants and kind of try and bring some outside in right now while we're all stuck inside. So I think this space really kind of brings together all those trends perfectly. And I think it looks really sharp, Julie.
Oh, thank you. Well, speaking of those trends and what we're looking at for our third Zoom session next week on Tuesdays at 2 with Haven, it'll be the latest spring design trends. And our Haven creative director, Brad Pierce, will be talking about how we make inventory purchasing decisions, plus giving us a sneak peek at some of our new inventory pieces that are coming in that we are so excited to start staging with. And to that point also about greenery coming in up on the outside, the following week, session 4 on May 5th, that is going to be, our topic is going to be the great outdoors with tips and tricks on prepping your space for summer. So while we might all be locked inside right now, we can still take advantage of our outdoor spaces in Chicago. I know that's a big feature that we all love to boast about as Chicagoans. So take advantage of them now, make the most out of them, and really get the most use that we can for them as well. But that's our presentation. If anyone has any questions, you're welcome to chime in. If you'd like to reach out to us about our new occupied staging video consultations, please feel free to do so using Haven's email address or phone number. That's info@havenhomestager.com, and reach out. We're happy to help. We want to assist your clients, and if there's anything that we can do to continue to be a resource for you as our agents, let us know what we can do, because we are here to help you. We're in this together. We want to help everyone get through, and really, we're ready for this market to get going as soon as the shelter in place is lifted, just as much as you guys are. So, but thank you for everyone for attending, and let us know if we can do anything to help you out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.